Welcome back to the 8 points. So we have the Legions of Nagash. Now this hasn't come from the box that comes out this weekend, but it is every single part of that box. So I to store my stuff have made these little boxes for each warband that I use. So if we quickly go through it. First of all, we get some tokens. Now, I'm sure you've all seen these before, that they've got the nice purple hue to the tokens, as opposed to the red, which comes with the Chaos Warbands, green with Destruction and blue with Order. So we get 2 lots of those. We get our fighter cards, and we get our ability cards. And we're going to go through everything in just a second. So this is probably my favourite warband, just because my 5-year-old painted all of the models for this. She worked really hard on it. All contrast paints, obviously. But bless her, she did a great job. So we get 5 skeletons. Sorry, we get 10 skeletons. So I've chosen to make them up 5 with swords and shield, and 5 with spears and shield. Then we get 5 Graveguard, and I've chosen to build them so that they represent exactly what we get in this deck of cards. So we've got 1 of each. I've actually got more than 1 of each, but I'm just showing you this for the purpose of knowing what's in the box that comes out this weekend. Now they're actually a fairly handy warband. So last time I played with these, I set up a narrative game back when times were more normal, and it was me and 4 other players. I set up a narrative game across 3 Warcry boards with lots and lots of different terrain options. And I ran the game featuring Legions of Nagash, or some of their forces, as almost an NPC that could be controlled by other players. And they're actually very good. These Graveguard stand up very, very well to the Chaos Warbands that are, you know, the Warcry originals. Okay, so we're going to look through all of the cards and abilities. Now, somehow I've managed to lose my Necromancer card, but a mate of mine has very kindly sent me a photo so we can look at that when we get to it. So we have the Necromancer, Skeleton Champion, Skeleton Warrior with Ancient Spear and with the Ancient Blade, a Seneschal, Graveguard with Great White Blade, and Graveguard with White Blade and Crypt Shield. So let's have a look at the abilities. So that all of them have Shambling Horde. A fighter can use this ability only if they are within 6 inches of a visible friendly fighter with the leader rune mark. This fighter can make a bonus move action, a number of inches equal to half the value of this ability. And that's quite important for these guys because they are all slow moving. They're all a 3-inch movement, with the exception of the Necromancer, who's 4. Okay, then we've got a double for Chosen Champion, and that is available only to the Skeleton Champion. Fighter can use this ability if they are within 6 inches of a visible friendly fighter with the leader rune mark. Add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristics of attack actions made by this fighter, this activation. Okay, not bad, but slightly limited since it's only available to 1 card. Next up, we've got another double, which is Cursed Weapon, and that is available to our Graveguard with Great White Blade, and Graveguard with White Blade and Crypt Shield, and the Seneschal. Until the end of this fighter's activation, add 1 to the damage points allocated by hits and critical hits from attack actions made by this fighter that have a range characteristic of 3 or less. Now, all of the available fighters only have a range of 1, so that's fine. And to be fair, these guys are fairly handy when it comes to dishing out the wounds. So, for example, the Seneschal does 2 damage or 5 on a crit, so that becomes 3 and 6. Our other 2 fighters go 2 and 4 to 3 and 5, and 2 and 5 to 3 and 6 again. So that's a good ability, on a double at least. Okay, now on a triple, we've got Necrotic Siphon. That is only available to the Necromancer. Pick a visible friendly fighter within 6 inches of this fighter. Allocate a number of damage points to that fighter equal to the value of this ability. Then remove a number of damage points from this fighter equal to double that value of this ability. So for example, none of these guys are particularly heavy with wounds. So for example, the Necromancer's got 25 and the Seneschal's got 15, but the rest are between 8 and 10. Well, the Champion's got 12. But it means that if one of them has got maybe 6 wounds or something, and you roll a 6 for here, or you roll a 3 and use this one, you can heal all 6 of those wounds. So that's not bad for a triple as well. Next up, we've got Summon Undead, which is available only to the Necromancer, obviously. Pick a friendly fighter that's been taken down. Set up that fighter once more on the battlefield, wholly within 3 inches of this fighter. The fighter set up on the battlefield no longer counts as being taken down. Remove a number of damage points allocated to that fighter that equal the value of this ability. So yeah, so you can bring back fighters with up to 6 wounds. Obviously more likely less, because you're unlikely to get a 666. And let's just start using the wild dice. Okay, and then the quad, which is again only available to the Necromancer. We have Van Hell's Dance Macabre. A number of visible friendly fighters equal to the value of this ability that are within 6 inches of this fighter can each make a bonus move action or a bonus attack action. Some can make bonus move actions and others bonus attack actions. So that's really cool. That's excellent, actually. I know it's a quad, but if you've got a bunch of people grouped around this guy, maybe you activate it on a value of 3. It means anything within 3 inches either gets an extra move or an extra attack. Depending on how you kind of set up at the start of the game, that could be really powerful. I mean, all the quads are generally very good, but yeah, I like that one a lot. That can really sort of throw in a major assist. So let's have a look at these guys just in general, the Warband, just to get a sense of who they are and what they can do. So general movement is fairly low, so they all move on a 3 except for Necromancer, which is 4. Wounds, again, nothing terrific. Necromancer's 25, everything else is much less. So our skeletons are both 8, and our Graveguard are between 10 and 15. But having said that, the cost of these models are really, really cheap as well. So, for example, skeletons are only 55 points each. Necromancer's 195, but then the rest of the guys are 80s and 90s, except for that champion, which is 120. And with good reason, because he's got good strength there. We'll get to that in a minute. In terms of toughness, nothing to speak of again. All toughness 3s and 4s. Now, in terms of the rest of the Warband, everything's a range 1, except for the skeleton with spears, which is a range 2, but they only make 2 attacks on a strength of 3, doing 1 and 4 damage. The guys with skeletons, again, they make 3 attacks, but they're only doing 1 and 3 damage on a strength 3. The Necromancer has also got some range as well. So he's got 2 weapons. He's got magic, which is between 3 and 7 inches. 2 attacks on a strength 3, doing 3 and 6 damage. Or his up close and personal one, which is, he's got a staff there, which is a 2-inch range. 3 attacks on a strength 4, doing 1 and 4 damage. And in terms of the Graveguard, I like the Graveguard. I think they're quite handy. They've got the ability to unleash some decent damage. So a Seneschal is strength 5, doing 2 and 5 damage. Our Graveguard with Great White Blade is the same, strength 5, 2 and 5 damage. Our champion, Skeleton Champion, only strength 3 doing 1 and 3 damage, but he is only cheap, he's 80 points. And the Graveguard with White Blade and Crypt Shield, strength 4 doing 2 and 4 damage. Now in terms of the actual Warband itself, when you look at these abilities, what really sort of shouts out to me is that this guy, the Graveguard with Graveguard with Great White Blade, is the one that you're going to be sort of pushing out more in this Warband. He's only got a cost of 85 points. And he's only got 10 wounds. He's actually better than a Graveguard with White Blade and Crypt Shield, which is 5 points more. So they've got the same abilities. The one with the shield has got toughness of 4 against a toughness of 3, but he's got less strength and he does less wounds on a crit. So for 85 points, he's quite a good one for flooding out your army. Skeletons are just generally fodder. Only 8 wounds. They don't deal much damage either. They're not very strong. Toughness 4 isn't that bad. But all in all, I like the Warband. I must admit, for me, I've got slightly more sort of. This was a real good project for me and one of my kids to get into, which is kind of we don't do much of that round here. There's not many Warhammer fans in my house, so it's great when I get to do things like this with the kids. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Legions of the Nagash, again, not bad, but not fantastic either. I'll be doing a very similar video in the next day or so on the Sylvaneth. The only difference there is that I'll be building the models in that video, and I'll just be using the models from Mortal Realms Premium Content Part 2, because that gives us everything we need for that Warband as well. I'll also be back to you this weekend with reviews of all the books that are coming out. We'll have a look at the dice and all that kind of thing as well. I hope you're all safe and doing well, and I'll catch you later. See ya.